This is the November 28, 2023 regular meeting of the Chatham County Savannah Metropolitan Planning Commission. The board consists of Ms. Karen Jarrett, Chairwoman, Mr. Travis Coles, Vice Chairman, Mr. Wayne Noah, Secretary, Ms. Lorraine Bowles, Treasurer. Board members are Mr. Dwayne Stevens, Ms. Elizabeth Epstein, Mr. Joseph Irvine, Mr. Tom Wildwoody, Mr. Jeff Nortricia, Mr. Shredrick Coleman, Ms. Tracy Amick, Mr. Joseph Welch, Mr. Michael Kagler, and Mr. Jay Melder. The MPC Executive Director is Melanie Wilson.
Good afternoon. The November 28th regular meeting of the Chatham County Savannah Metropolitan Planning Commission will now come to order. We'll pause for the invocation and proceed immediately into the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Oh, wait a minute. We don't have a quorum. And Mr. Kegler was going to do our...
They're in the other room. Here they come.
Sorry.
Does it raise up? You didn't have. But I don't see it.
Sure.
You feel it? I believe it.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. For staff, petitioners, and members of the public who are participating in our procedures will be as follows. The agenda is broken down into several parts. First, notices, proclamations, and acknowledgments. Next, the consent agenda, which consists of items for which the applicant is in agreement with staff recommendation and there are no known objections. This will be followed by regular business, old business, and adjournment. For each agenda item on the regular business, the staff will make a presentation. The staff presentation will be followed by a presentation by the petitioner, should they elect to do so. The petitioner will be allotted a time frame of no more than 20 minutes. The board may then ask questions of the petitioner or staff for clarification. Afterwards, the floor will be open for public comment. If you wish to comment on an item that the board is considering at the time, members of the public that are in person must fill out a green card, a speaker card, and give that to staff. If you are participating virtually, use the raise your hand feature on your screen. Do not use the feature until the item you want to comment on is being considered. At the appropriate time, you will be recognized and staff will unmute your microphone. At the end of your allotted time, as determined by the chair, your microphone will be muted and the chair will recognize the next speaker. The total public comment time will be equivalent to the petitioner's presentation time. Therefore, it is important for you to use the raise your hand feature during the hearing on that item if you want to speak on a petition. Once the floor is closed for public comment on a petition, no additional public speakers will be allowed. If you are certain you want to speak, still use the raise your hand. If you're not certain you want to speak, still use the raise your hand feature. Or if in person, fill out the speaker card. You have the option to decline when your name is called. After public comment, the petitioner will have the opportunity for rebuttal and then additional needed questions by the board, and then answer additional needed questions by the board, and finally the board will take action. All right, the first order of business we have is the approval of the agenda.
Cole's motion to approve.
No, it's second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Notices, proclamations, and acknowledgments. We did have a personnel committee meeting today. We discussed personnel matters, and we'll be having an executive session after this meeting. Items requested to be removed from the final agenda include a map amendment request to rezone from R2EO to BNEO, 202 Shipyard Road. We also have a map amendment to request to rezone from R2EO to PRAEO, 9965 Ferguson Avenue, and 1001 Bethesda. We have a request for a special use request to have a place of worship within an RSF 6 zoning district, 1202 East 69th Street. And also requested to be removed is a special use request to have a place of worship within an, oh, that's the same one. 1202 East 68th Street. 1206 East 68th Street.
Cole's motion to remove items 2 through 5 from the final agenda.
No, it's second.
Is there anybody here who is here for those items? All right. Let's do a voice vote. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, those items have been removed. We have no items that have been requested to be withdrawn. On the consent agenda, we have a major subdivision, Bradley Point Phase 11, Flagler Drive, and a major subdivision, Grand Harbor, Green Island Road.
Cole's motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion's second, Noah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. We have no old business. And on the regular business, we have a special use request to have an ancillary alcohol sales in a bakery restaurant within TC1 zoning district at 220 East 41st Street.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Edward Morrow, Director of Development Services here at the Metropolitan Planning Commission. The present request is to establish ancillary alcohol sales. I'm so sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing there. Ancillary alcohol sales within a bakery or restaurant within the TC1 zoning district at 222 East 41st Street. There we go. All right. And so the special use is part of a process that first comes to the MPC for your review. It will then move forward to City Council. And again, under consideration here are only the particulars within the zoning ordinance related to the appropriateness of this use at this particular location. Any issuance of a license to sell alcohol would happen at a later stage directly from the City of Savannah. So. In looking at the subject parcel, this is a structure that is fully developed. It has previous use likely as an office. It is a portion of the property. There are a couple of adjoining structures, one of which is the Lone Wolf Lounge, which is an existing bar located within the Thomas Square neighborhood. The structure is a non-contributing resource within the district, but it is within a local and national historic district nonetheless. The subject property is within a parking reduction area, and so the first 3,000 square feet of any use within, any non-residential use within this area does not require off-street parking. And this particular use is approximately 1,246 square feet, and so it would not require off-street parking. However, there are 2 parking spaces that are provided on the site. Public notice was provided. Further, we did receive a great amount of support, both from the Thomas Square Neighborhood Association and from several others who wrote in supporting the request. It is consistent with the current development pattern within the neighborhood, and MPC staff does recommend approval. I'd like to enter the staff report into the record. Sorry, I'm going through the details rather quickly, but we do recommend approval of the requested use with 3 conditions. The first, that the special use not be transferable. The second, that alcohol sales include beer and wine only. And the third being The hours of operation, that they be limited from Thursday 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I believe we said that we would amend the hours on Saturday, Friday and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. to make them consistent. I'll let the 1 a.m. Okay, to be consistent with the Lone Wolf Lounge next door, and then Sunday 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, these were hours that were proffered by the petitioner. They were not necessarily requested by staff. With that, staff does recommend approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, can we hear from the petitioner first?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. For the record, Josh Yellen here today on behalf of the petitioner. And with us from the petitioner, we have Natasha and Matthew, who are going to be the owners and operators of this bakery, restaurant, cafe. I do just want to reiterate, as Mr. Morrow mentioned, that Natasha has attended the Thomas Square Neighborhood Association board meeting, or the full meeting, I should say, along with a lengthy Facebook post describing in detail the nature of the operation. As a result of that neighborhood meeting, the board of the Thomas Square Neighborhood Association is recommending approval of this with the hours that are shown in the staff report, the 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. hours. That was presented to the board, and it was a 9-0 vote, which is very rare for the Thomas Square Neighborhood Association to have everyone voice their support for this application. And so we do want to thank the Thomas Square Neighborhood Association along with staff for their recommendation of support. It should also be mentioned that in the numerous letters that are in the packet, the 3 adjacent businesses have all voiced their letters of support as well. There's a letter of support from the Lone Wolf Lounge. There's a letter of support from the adjacent business that's going in. This entire block is TC1, and it's entirely commercial in its use. And so those business owners were fully in support of this application, and we would respectfully request that you approve of the same. We did check, and Lone Wolf Lounge is open until 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. So we were, in fact, trying to close an hour before their business shut down. But if that needs to be considered, we're happy to confirm that prior to going to City Council. But it's our understanding that it's a 3 a.m. closure. I was there Saturday night, but not that late. And maybe I should have stayed later so I could have the answer for you. But I believe that the hours are until 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. But so we do thank staff for their work on this petition, and we're happy to answer any questions that y'all have regarding the use.
Are there any questions for Mr. Yellen or staff?
I have one. If Lone Wolf Lounge is open till 3 and they're allowed to be open until 3, why limit yourself the extra hour? Like, I would think just keep it consistent since it's all in the same area.
We're completely open to it being consistent. We were just trying to make it.
I can't hear, I'm sorry.
Natasha was saying that they were 100% open to having that extended hours of operation to be consistent for the block. But obviously there's some give and take. And so we were trying to be responsible in that regard. But we do know we'd be happy to be open till 3 a.m. It's a limited operation, a bakery operation, and also trying to provide some food service where there really aren't hours in this range, in that vicinity. So,
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions?
Were the hours of operation part of the neighborhood association's approval?
yes.
Probably should stick to it.
Is this going to be like I'm going to be able to get a sandwich late night, Josh, at 2 a.m.? Because that would be a falafel.
Falafel.
Great, I'll be
Yes.
there.
Any other questions? All right, is there any public comment? Just a minute. Thank you. Ms. McQueen, come on up and state your name, please, for the record.
My name's Yvonne McQueen. I want to ask because I'm the only resident that's in that area, on that block. 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, I can believe they're open. I've been having a lot of problems with revving up motors, motorcycles, big trucks, revving motors. So I just wanted to know what kind of impact this was going to have on the neighborhood as far as noise ordinance go at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, has that been considered yet?
Mr. Morrow?
Chair, can Can we find out exactly where you are located in relation? Is there a map that we could look at?
She has
Because
an address here on
the-
220
Yes, I'm
East
at
41st.
211. I'm 211. East
211?
40th.
Okay.
Could I see that on a map? Because I understood the petitioners say that there were no residential properties in the block.
Yeah, I'm there.
So you said you were 211?
211 East 40th. No, East 40th. I'm right behind,
Oh, she's right
in
behind
front of
them.
that, yeah. Yeah. So I'm just curious what that's gonna mean for me at 2 and 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Are you able to show us your house?
Yeah, the green when you no, that's
The
the
green
one
one.
across the street. I'm
This
here.
one here, okay, there we go.
Okay.
So I just. Yes.
Can we look at the aerial view and see where the property is in proximity to her house?
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm asking, because it's a little road that's been cut right there, and they come through that road at night, so, and.
Yeah, there's
sometimes- I mean,
some.
it's, if they just come through, it's okay, but some of them come and they're revving the motors and they sitting there idling, and it's like, okay, so now I wanna know what it's gonna mean if something else is coming over there, is that gonna be more traffic? You know, what is that gonna mean?
Can we please, someone point out where the,
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
So the house in question is the red dot.
And Lone Wolf Round?
Lone Wolf is over here, and the premises in discussion today is right here.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Bowles.
And you were saying that the traffic comes through on what street now? Is it on Lincoln?
It I can't, it goes through the parking lot right there, on the side of this, a house on the side of me in the Russo's parking lot. It has been opened up to a thoroughway, and they come through there around, I guess, going to Lincoln Street, and sometimes they just, you know, the noise element, and I just want to know, is that mean this, the noise is going to increase? Is traffic going to increase up in there? Just what's going to, you know, be the impact is what I'm wanting to know.
Ms. Morrow, could you speak to it a little bit? I know that we don't have a very large structure here, so
Right.
that certainly will limit traffic some, but
Right. Again, at 1,200 square feet, this particular use is not expected to have a significant impact. But if appropriate, limiting those hours of operation could get traffic off of the streets a little bit earlier. So with regard to the noise ordinance in particular, that's something that is directly handled by the city. So enforcement of that would
close the
be
way.
but
on the part
my,
of the city.
Go ahead, Mr. Melder.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm just to make sure that I understand. So it seems like from the map, and I've been in this area before, that cars can pass from the north on 40th Street all the way through the block
Yeah.
onto Lincoln behind the Lone Wolf. And that's what you're saying, there's some loud noise, revving of pipes, et cetera.
It
Let
hasn't
me-
always been that way.
Yes,
you know.
ma'am.
Go ahead.
And I do think that there are three bars within this block. That's probably contributing to that. Let me take this back to my teams at the city and see if we can't look into how we make sure the noise ordinance is enforced here for your block and for the residents there. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Melder.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Any other public comment? All right, any discussion among members?
I just go back to whether it should be 2 or 3. If they're serving food, I would say 3.
I think it should be in line with the adjacent. Because
So,
it's hard to differentiate for an inspector to say, well, are you coming from next door, or are you coming from here? I agree.
So Coles make the motion to approve staff's recommendation for approval with the one modification that Friday and Saturday, the closing time is 3 a.m.
Noah second.
discussion on that point?
Please.
I would just make the note that if those hours of operation were discussed at the neighborhood association meeting and that was contingent upon that support, in hearing today's discussion, while I agree with the limiting, because I'm often on that side as well, that just to have the applicant think about whether or not they want to make a change to those operating hours based on the support they receive from the neighborhood.
And my apologies that you're in board discussion, but if that motion is accepted, I think we'd be happy to make it conditioned upon going back to the board and getting the feedback from them on that extra hour of operation.
Then I will amend my motion to include that it's contingent upon the Tana Square Neighborhood Association, right?
Seconder approved.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? You ready for the vote? All right. Ms. Amick?
Yes.
Ms. Bowles?
Yes.
Mr. Coles?
Yes.
Ms. Epstein?
Yes.
Mr. Kegler?
Yes.
Mr. Melder?
Yes.
Mr. Noah?
Yes.
And I too say yes. Motion
I'll
carries.
say yes too.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Whitewoody. All right. Oh, Dwayne? I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Other business. Let's see. We have no presentations. We do have other business. The Metropolitan Planning Commission 2024 meeting calendar.
Just, yes, I was going to say, just if you don't mind, just making a motion to accept the calendar as presented.
All right.
Cole's motion to accept the calendar as presented, but can we also get a printed copy?
Yes, you'll get a printed copy. We wanted to make sure there weren't any changes
Gotcha.
before we printed out the copy.
Jenna?
And
Thank you.
On the, I'm sure staff's looked at this to make sure we didn't have any conflicts with holidays or anything, but the November 26th meeting, is that, it's Thanksgiving the week before, or is that?
It's got to be the week after.
It's late Thanksgiving this year, so we basically made sure we looked at that, which is why it's on November the 22nd. The Thanksgiving's the 28th next year.
Okay, I was looking at, it says November 26th.
Yep.
On-
Yeah, that's our meeting calendar. The meeting date's the 26th, but Thanksgiving.
Cutoff
is
is
the
the
28th. It is,
Right.
it is the
Thanksgiving.
same week.
It's Thanksgiving week.
It is that week.
Yeah,
You wanna-
you think
Do you
that,
want to move it? That's up to you.
I mean, Thanksgiving week is typically, you know, in terms of, getting quorum, that's,
And I would
Would you
also
like to
think
move it
that
up?
staff, last-minute preparation, the week of, a lot goes on. So maybe a
does.
week ahead.
We're looking at the calendar right now.
Our November 19th will be the week up. We can do that.
Yeah, we can move it. If you don't mind, we would make the change to make it November the 19th, if that's acceptable to the board.
Then I'll amend my motion to approve the calendar with the exception of changing the November 26th meeting to November 19th.
Yeah.
Second, Noah.
All right.
And I just wanted to make a quick note that we did look at when the meeting dates fell close to holidays. You'll notice that the September meeting, we moved because it was going to be kind of during that same week of Labor Day. The same thing with July, the 4th of July. And if I may, I wanted to just quickly take a moment to let you know that we are having a holiday celebration on December the 15th, and you all are invited to attend. That will start at noon here. And we will also have a door contest, so that's always very lively, and we always have some really cool stuff. So please come if you can make it. We always have a lot of fun during that time. Again, that's December the 15th at noon.
All right. Any other discussion on this? All right, voice vote, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. So I would like to have a very short executive session.
Cole's motion to adjourn to executive session.
No, it's second.
All right, good deal.
To return from executive session.
If you can please turn on the microphones. Thank you.
Do we have any motions?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that the board ratifies the results of the executive director's evaluation and to
Tom.
accept the recommendations of the personnel committee.
I'm sorry, just procedural. We need to state what the purpose of the executive session was.
The purpose of the executive session was to discuss personnel matters and compensation.
So I'd like to make a motion that the board ratifies the results of the executive director's evaluation and to accept the recommendations of the personnel committee on a one-time compensation adjustment for the executive director.
Cole, second.
All right, any discussion? Okay, Tracy?
Yes.
Laureen?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Mr. Kegler?
Yes.
Mr. Melder?
Yes.
Mr. Wywoody?
Yes.
And I too say yes, so,
And I say yes.
oh,
And Mr. Stevens may say yes.
I don't think Mr. Stevens is. All right,
Cole's motion to adjourn.
No, it's second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, guys.